Welcome everybody on this beautiful overcast, damp spring day where all the plants have been watered in all the open space and the animals are all rejoicing at this late spring water. I want to take a moment to sit with you, a 1-minute meditation. I think that he deserves a lot more, but if we can do one powerful minute for George Floyd and for all the African American men and women who have suffered at the hands of ignorance, I'd like to just take a moment for that. And close your eyes. And in whatever way you feel best, to acknowledge the love and compassion in your heart for all beings. I'll take a minute to do that. Karuna in yoga. Karuna in yoga. It means compassion. But as BKS Iyengar says in Light on Yoga, Karuna is not merely showing pity or compassion or shedding tears of despair at the misery of others. It is compassion coupled with devoted action to relieve the misery of the afflicted. The yogi uses all their resources, physical, economic, mental, or moral, to alleviate the pain and suffering of others. They share their strength with the weak until they become strong. They share their courage with those that are timid until they become brave by their example. They deny the maxim of the survival of the fittest, but make the weak strong enough to survive. They become shelter to one and all. They seek to understand. Let's bring our hands in front of our hearts. Breathing with you all for the health, the wellness, the freedom for all beings. One Om together. Om. Thank you. Let's begin by taking downward dog. You're welcome to take child's pose if you prefer. Breathing in and breathing out, taking care of your own emotions, your own mental state, your physical body, your physiology, and being with yourself on all levels. Using this practice to go deeper into yourself. Okay, let's come down to child's pose. Take the knees wide as the rails of your mat. Take the big toes touch. You can stack your hands under your forehead if you want. And breathing in and out. Breathe down to your belly. Feel the rib cage move when you breathe. Feeling blessed for your own life, your own freedoms. And offering a prayer to those who don't have what you have. And as Iyengar said, working towards devoted action to support those that need it. Let's come on up to downward dog again. Breathing in and out through the nose. Begin to hear a soft, gentle, smooth Ujjayi breath. And allow your mind to attach itself to the flow of the breath and not to thoughts that stream by. Keep hooking your awareness into the flow of your breath. Slowly take a walk to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen your spine, flat back. Exhale and fold. Inhale, rise to standing. Hands in front of your heart. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, right leg, step back. Lower back knee to the mat, low lunge. Inhale the arms up. Pause here as you lunge forward. Breathe down into the bottom of your lungs using your nose. Power the breath with the diaphragm. Now allow the arms to sweep back behind you until they come into a T position with the palms up. Pull the navel in, move the thumbs back, and open up through the heart center. Shoulders down, reach through your fingertips. Takes a lot of strength to hold this pose in integrity in the legs, and then to open the heart, you have to really work the upper back here. Now sweep the arms forward and up, and back and down. Clearing your space 2 more times. Inhale, forward and up, back and down. 1 more. And bring your hands down to the mat. Now take your fingertips on the mat. You're going to frame your front foot, lift your back knee, keep your back heel up, and start to straighten your front leg into scissor leg pose, but the back heel is up off the mat. It's almost like you have a high heel on your back foot, and scissor your legs together. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. High heel on your back foot. Okay. So square your hips to the front of your mat. Lift your back thigh, lift your chest, and start to push through the ball, big toe mound and the pinky toe mound of your front foot. Start to push the ball of your front foot down and forward and feel how it drives your hips back. In order to do amazing seated poses, we need the hips to be nice and open and strong. Okay, now as you flatten your back, pull the chest forward, because this is what you're going to be up against in your seated poses. You're going to be up against the chest wanting to collapse and the back wanting to round. So I want you to learn it here. Your hands could also be on blocks or a chair. So on your fingertips, lift the chest up away from your front leg. And feel how, for some of you with tight hamstrings, that is not so easy to do. So you might need to come up to your front shin instead. Okay, now once you get that front body really long, you're pulling your chest forward. Then I want you to, on an elongated front body, fold towards your front leg. And now it's okay to round, but it's because you did that lengthening work beforehand. Now I'm folding in, keeping my back thigh, lifting my back quadricep, lifting back leg very strong. The back leg is what's pulling the hips up towards the ceiling so that my spine can fold over my front leg. So it's a lot of work. You should be efforting quite a bit here. And now place your hands, frame your front foot, bend into your front knee and take down dog. Change sides. Lower back knee to the mat. Sweep the arms up and go into your lunge. So when I go into my lunge, I'm not even going halfway. I'm totally restraining myself. I could just sink and flop into it, but I know from lots of years of practice that only disturbs your lower back and your SI joint. So give yourself some time, hug the legs together, lift the pelvic floor, lift the low belly, and then on that resistance, see if you want to go just a teensy bit lower. Okay, now you're going to add the arms. So sweeping the arms back behind you, bring the thumbs back, chest forward and up. Feel the muscles in your middle upper back, because when we go into the scissor leg pose, it's not going to be as easy to feel this back bend in that forward bend. So hands going back, chest up, and then sweeping back and down. Now let's do 3 of those. Inhale, forward and up, back and down. Squeeze shoulder blades in and down your back. 2 more. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Frame your foot, fingertips, lift your back knee, back heel is up, and start to straighten your front leg. Some of you with tighter hamstrings, it's going to look actually a little more like a lunge instead of a straight front leg. That's fine. If you even had a single block, you could go on a single block. Okay, now lift your front foot toes, spread across the ball of your foot, and press from big toe mound to pinky toe mound. And I'm going to push the foot down and forward and drive my hips back. Okay, so my fingertips lift. Now keep squaring your hips. You can square your hips here because your back heel is lifted. Now, once your hips are squared, this gives a great foundation for your spine to come shooting out towards the front of your mat or the wall in front of you. So lift your chest, lift your chin. Keep trying to lift your chest away from your front leg. Push through the ball of your foot. Push your hips back, scissor your legs. Lift your back thigh, breathing, lengthen. Squeeze your back muscles. And then exhale, get as much length as you can to fold over your front leg. I like to walk my hands towards my back foot here and go deep into this forward bend. Breathing, steady. Breathe smoothly through the nose, soft, subtle Ujjayi breath. Folding in on yourself. Forward bends and twists are so good for introspection, self-reflection, and deepening your level of presence. Start to walk the hands back, frame your foot, and take downward dog. Spread out through your finger pads. Press all the finger pads down.
so you don't wait just on the heel of the hand in your down dog. Now walk your feet to the rails of your mat in your down dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, and squat back with your knees as wide as your ankles. You can see your knees, so check. Make sure the knees are as wide as the ankles, and when you are widening, feel the widening going all the way up to the upper inner thighs. Widen the upper inner thighs. For those of you taking the workshop later, it's going to be very great, good preparation for you. All of this widening. Okay, slowly start to straighten your legs, push through the thighs, and then walk the feet a little closer together and back so you can take your plank pose where the shoulders land right over the wrists and the heels stay over the balls of the feet. Now pull the belly up, lift the pelvic floor, press down through the arms and breathe. Feel the shoulder blades spread on your back. Feel the sides of your waist lift, sides of the throat lift. And there's a whole column of internal lift happening from head to toe. Okay, lower down slowly, up dog or cobra. So I just did a little dip and then came to up dog. If you want, instead, you could do cobra. And exhale, come on out. Downward dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the cool air going through the nostrils as you inhale, and the slightly warmer air coming out of your nostrils as you exhale. And then bend your knees, walk or hop forward. Inhale, long spine. Pause here in Ardha Uttanasana and make sure you're not rounding. If you round in the standing poses, you will absolutely round in your seated poses. So really important to look at this here and now. So I'm moving my thighs back. Your feet can be together or apart. And as I move my thighs back, my hips tilt forward. And then I'm able to lift my chest more. And that's what I want to do here. Now, if your hamstrings are overstretching, then lift your belly more. So I've got a little lift under the lower abdominal wall. Now bring the arms out to a T. Ardha Uttanasana with T arms. Now squeeze the shoulder blades together and see how that allows you to get your chest to lift more. So working in the upper back allows you to get the spine longer. Legs are working, shoulders are working, shoulders are lifting, and then draw them down. One more breath, and then exhale and fold. That should have felt like a lot of work. Inhale, stand, Tadasana. Part your feet hip distance apart. Sit back in chair pose. So knees and ankles are the same distance apart. And as I sit back, I'm deepening the hip crease here. And not just the inner hip crease, but I want you to deepen the outer hip crease. So take your fingers, wrap them around your outer hips, and I want you to pull the outer hips back as you sit. And as your thumbs are kind of in the hip crease and you sit back, I can feel the outer hips wrapping around here towards the buttocks. So that gives me more support underneath. So now I'm supported underneath, and I'm going to sweep the arms up, inhale. And then we have that thing again where we try to get the back bend, which is not to hike the shoulders towards the ears. Keep the shoulders down, but lift the chest. Use the back muscles. Grip the back as you lift the chest. Keep squatting back. Okay, now bring your fingertips to the floor. And you say, I'm in a deep squat with the back as flat as I can be. Now I'm going to push my thighs back and draw my chest forward. So here's another type of Ardha Uttanasana. So thighs are pushing back, chest is moving forward. You have to lift the quadriceps, lift the kneecaps, lift the hamstrings up towards the sitting bones, lift the navel, and then on that elongated Ardha Uttanasana, begin to fold. And lengthen the side of your body by bending the elbows out to the side. Fingers stay facing forward. So I'm on my fingertips and the elbows are moving forward as I lengthen here, side body, so that my chest can stay more open when I fold. It's a little different way. Takes a lot of effort and coordination. Takes some coordination to get that action. Okay, hands on your hips. I want you to lead with your heart to come up. So roll your shoulders back, lead with your heart flat back all the way up. And exhale. Okay, great. Step the feet wide. Turn the right toes out for warrior two. Come into warrior two. And now I have my hand on my lower belly, just to remind it to lift. As I open the thighs apart like this, sometimes my belly goes whoop, just kind of goes down, and my low back crunches, and my inner knee drops, and all that stuff. So I'm going to just take low belly lift and drop into it a little deeper. Now I'm going to take my torso straight up and down, and then sweep the arms wide. Okay, breathing. Now swivel your head to look over your front fingers. And then I want you to take your back hand down towards your back leg and then weave it behind you. And it might go into the front of your thigh, front leg thigh. Then roll your palm up on the front arm and sweep it around. So we're starting to get into this binded action where we're asking the shoulders and the hips to work together to give more mobility to your spine and reaching up and over. Still holding the warrior two, so very, very strong in the legs. One more breath, and then you're going to unfold, coming up and coming up. Changing sides, warrior two. And see how naturally I've got this kind of tilt and I'm wanting to kind of lean forward, and that's what people do in warrior two in the beginning. But as the hips get more open and the body becomes more intelligent as far as the yoga postures go, I'm going to take my hips and right them. And that allows a little deeper opening in that back hip, a leveling of the hips. I drop and more grounded. Okay. From there, and the torso is more upright, right? Rather than wanting to do that. So I'm moving torso straight up and down and then sweeping the arms out. And from there, I feel spine is grounding down through level square hips and then strong legs. Look over your fingertips, front fingertips. Press through your back heel, press through your front heel, lift your low belly, and then take your back arm and weave it around, either hand to low back or clipping fingers in that front thigh. Roll the front palm up and then going up and over. Make sure the back of your neck is long. You can either look towards the front leg side of your mat, or you can look slightly up. Lunge, twist, meaning your chest is staying lateral towards the long edge of your mat, chest is staying square with that, and arm is up and over your head. One more breath. Coming out slowly, back to warrior two, and releasing. Heel, toe, and step your legs together. Take Tadasana. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now in Tadasana, close your eyes. Feel the plumb line. And feel your balance, your internal balance. Seated forward bends and twists. Turn our senses in on themselves. It's a practice of pulling your senses inward. Keep feeling the plumb line. Keep balancing if you can with your eyes closed. 2 more breaths. Okay, open your eyes. Take a wide stance in goddess position or horse stance. So it's not as wide as the wide-legged forward bend. We're coming down. So stack the knees over the ankles and sit down. Some of you might be more up like this. That's great. Just tune into your hips. Deeper isn't necessarily better. But if you feel comfortable with it, you take your hands here on the hip creases and you just deepen the hip creases as you go down. In the seated forward bends and twists, it really requires a lot of depth in the hip joint. And so we can really get that very actively in our standing poses to help us. So sitting down into that pose, feel how the top of the femur bones, for a lot of people, they want to rise, they want to lift up, but I want you to drop the femur bone down towards the back of the hamstring. Okay, now we're going to take the hands to the knees and hug the heels towards one another. So actively, isometrically, lightly, hug the heels towards one another. Now you feel that energy build on the inseam of the leg. I want you to start to push the energy out through the groin to the inner knee. So you hug in feet, and then you push gently out through here. Hug in feet, out through there. You feel that cycle going. Your legs might start shaking because they're going to be working even more. So this is good. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly come up. Parallel your feet. I'm going to keep them this wide. I'm not going to go any wider because I'm going to bring my hands now to the top of the thigh region, and I'm going to start to push the thigh bones back as I fold halfway. I'm going to pause halfway. So heel of the hand is in the top of the thigh. If you hyperextend your knee, make sure to have a little bend behind the knee. Okay, don't hyperextend your leg. Now I'm going to bend my knees a little bit. So knees are bent and you feel like the top of the femur bone is already going back. So now I'm going to help it go back as I straighten my legs. Help it go back. And then as you push your arms straight, try to draw your chest forward. And if you could see from the side, my shoulders actually come forward. So I'm lengthening from hip to shoulder. Hip to shoulder is lengthening. I'm letting my shoulders shrug a little bit. That's fine. And I'm getting as much length as I can as I push my femur bones back. Now lift the belly up. Make sure low back isn't sagging. Okay. Float the arms out to the side. Keep all of that. Don't hyperextend your knees. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards one another. Pull front ribs up, belly up, extend. And now just drop left hand down. Right arm up, twist. So keep everything you just gained. Come back to flat back, arms in a T. Touch down, right fingertips, left arm up. This takes an incredible amount of leg strength, back strength, core strength. T position. So I'm just barely touching. Go again, first side. Barely touching bottom fingers to the mat. Now with your core, T position. Touch the fingers, twist. Upper back working. Okay, back to T position. And pause and then fold. Folding down. Release your neck. Breathe into the bottom of the lungs, which are now on the top, because we're inverted. So inversions are so great for the lungs and the heart. Totally changes the effect of gravity on those two organs. Breathe through the nose. Feel the back releasing. Okay, inhale. We're going to come all the way up. Hands in front of the heart. Great. Tadasana again. Standing in Tadasana. Feeling the ground beneath your feet. Feeling the energy in your legs, your spine, your arms. Breathe through the nose peacefully. All right, we're going to step the feet wide. Take Trikonasana, turn your right toes out. Inhale your arms out to the side and reach forward. Now I have a tiny little bend in my front knee because I tend to hyperextend, which is not good. So I train myself to have a tiny little bend, and then it makes my leg work harder than it would if it was locked straight. Back toes are turned in slightly. I feel this lift on the underside of my side body. So I'm not already collapsing there. So I'm lifting under my armpit and lifting underneath, armpit lift, shoulders shrug a little bit. And that way I'm getting the side body as long as I possibly can. And then I scoop low belly up. And then I've got some strength in my upper body before I come down. And that makes me feel lighter up here. So I'm not just collapsing down in my Trikonasana waiting for it to be over. So feel that lift. That lift is hope. That internal lift is also hope and trust. For collapsing, then emotionally we usually have that same thing happening. So feel that lift. Use your breath. Extend through your arms, extend through your legs. Now take your top hand, roll it to the front edge of your mat and so that you can bring it overhead, whichever way you're facing. Reach through your fingertips, push through your back heel, lengthen. And now you're going to take a top arm and sweep it all the way around and clip it in your front thigh. See if you can clip it, or you just place it on your low back. That's great. Okay. Now you're going to look down at your front foot and then pull your top shoulder away from your ear. So you're trying to stretch the top ear away from the top shoulder by looking down. Get a nice stretch. So you can tell we're probably going towards some kind of binded seated pose, right? Because I'm doing the binds here. And it's probably going to have the shoulder in this position. So sequencing is a huge factor in a yoga class that makes sense to your body. And it's an art. Unfold the arm, stretch it back up, breathe. Now bend your front knee. Now you're coming to Parsvakonasana and then bring the top arm over. Here we are. Still on this side, getting deep into the side angle. Rely on your breath to bring you peace in every pose, even if it's hard. Now we're going to come up to warrior two. And then exhale, come out. Flip the other toes out. Turn the back toes in. Inhale the arms up and take that bottom side body and lift it. It's fine. The shoulder's going to shrug towards the ears. No problem. I want you to get that lift first. Keep getting that lift. Lift the low belly. So this is me not lifting my low belly. You see this big dip right here. Okay, you know when people aren't doing it. Lift. Now it flattens this out, and then I can lengthen more. Push through the back heel. Come into it. And turn to look up towards your top hand if your neck feels okay. Back of the neck stays long. If you are looking up, back of the neck stays long. Chin isn't lifting. Now roll your top palm towards the overhead position and sweep your arm. Now you can look straight ahead and try to get your top side body in line with your top arm. Not so easy. Some of you are probably using blocks or you're holding on to your shin. Now you're going to take that top arm and sweep it around and tuck it into the front thigh. And then look down. So the neck is really getting some work here. along with the whole body. So now I'm trying to use the bind to pull my top shoulder back and down away from my ear and get a nice opening in the neck throat. Keep turning your chin down towards your bottom shoulder and pinning your top shoulder back. Relax your jaw. Breathe through your nose. Okay. Release your arm. Come back to Trikonasana. And then slow bend, front knee. See where you're at. Some of you are going to come up onto your elbow. So some of you will come elbow to knee. And others of you will just place your hand in the front of the ankle. Sweep the arm over your ear for Parshvakonasana. Low belly lifts. Turn the chest up and reach through your top arm. Breathing peacefully. In every situation, it will make every situation better if you can train yourself to do that. Next breath, we're going to come out where to. Here we go. And come on out. Okay, the legs have been apart for a while, so let's come to Tadasana and see how that feels. Tadasana. Close your eyes briefly so you can feel Tadasana now. See how it feels differently than when you did that last one where you had your eyes closed. How does it feel different? Do you feel more width, energetic width in the body? Do you feel more grounded or less? Feel the plumb line? Okay. Sometimes it just takes a few breaths to reground, reorient when we go through a change. So feet together. Now I'm going to take left leg, cross it over in figure four, and then I'm going to sit back in figure four chair. Shoulders back and down, elbows squeezed together. And I'm going to even walk my thumbs towards the upper back part of my hips. Resist going to get that second cup of coffee. Stay on your mat. I had somebody tell me that. They said that in the middle of practice last week, they couldn't help but getting another cup of coffee right in the middle of class. It's fine. And he said, well, if you were watching me, I wouldn't do that. I said, well, when are you going to become your own teacher? You have to discipline yourself. Okay, now we're going to take the elbows down and then maybe fingers down to the mat. And then push the thigh back and fold. Okay, so now bottom leg is coming to straight and top leg is still in figure four. So we just added the hamstring, which for some of you is more challenging than others. Okay, now this is the trick, okay? So come back, bend the front knee, the bottom knee, and then some of you are gonna be able to do the second part. If you're not able to do this, just stay in your figure four or come up to figure four chair. You're going to sit down and lift your bottom foot heel to sit on. So now, of course, my bottom heel is not on the floor because that would be way too deep of a bend in my ankle. So bottom heel is lifted, and then I'm centering my bottom heel right in the middle of my pelvis, right in the perineum between the sitting bones. And then crossing the leg and then bringing one up, trying to balance. This is a very challenging pose to balance in. Even if you get a few seconds, it's worth it. Okay, fingers come down and uncross and Uttanasana, part your feet. Bring your hands to your hips and come up. Voila. Whatever you did there, bravo. Or I like to call it in yoga, golf clap, right? Quiet golf clap. Okay. Or yoga snaps, right? In training, we used to do yoga snaps. I don't know. Okay, cross your leg. Sit down. Have a seat. Have a wobbly seat. Okay. If you can go with the wobbles, then you're learning something very useful. So hands are sliding to the back of the hips. Now squeezing my elbows together to work the shoulder blades, because then when we go into that forward bend, I want to keep the front body as elongated as I can. And then transitioning your hands slowly to the floor, or elbows will go to the shins. Okay, so you start to straighten your bottom leg and lift the sitting bones and fold in. And now breathe where you feel it. If you feel it in that outer hip, hamstring, back of the knee. You shouldn't feel a ton of this in your lower back. If you do, you might want to keep that standing knee a little more bent. That will protect the low back more. One more breath in this position. And then this happens all at once, right? You come down and your bottom heel lifts at the same time. And you stay in your cross if you can. Balance. And then try to do your balancing act. Breathing. Okay, uncross. Widen your feet to outer hip distance. Bring your hands in front and come up to Uttanasana. Then bring your hands to your hips and inhale, come up. Exhale. Okay, you guys, well done. Let's come to seated. Take Baddha Konasana. Bring your hands behind and lift your chest. Now you can tell, right? As soon as we come to seated, it's like, okay, good. So that's great because it's closer to the floor. You're definitely more supported in seated poses than you are in standing poses. But the downside of that is the legs and the core and the pelvic floor tend not to work as much. And they don't need to work as much as they do in standing poses, but people often tend to go very limp and lazy in their seated poses. So let's try to stay active. I'm going to give you some tips how to do that. So unfold your left leg out to the side. Now I'm going to use a strap, but if you don't have a strap, it's not a problem. I don't know, I think everybody can get some kind of strap, right? You can get your robe, your bathrobe tie works nice. Loop it over your straight leg foot. So left leg is out, right knee is bent. And then I've got my hand close to my foot and I'm gripping on. Now I'm not holding my foot intentionally. I'm using the strap because I'm going to use this bottom arm to help pull me in. So first, raise up the right arm and reach up. And then I'm going to start to pull and swing my elbow forward a little bit. I'm going to swing my elbow forward. That's going to keep my shoulder open here. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to try to hook the elbow to the inside of that knee. And then I'm going to brace the two together. So I'm bracing this bottom elbow against my inner knee so that my straight leg will work harder and my shoulder, bottom shoulder will work harder. So with that little bit of a brace, I'm creating some dynamic tension in my inner thigh, which is helping it actually to open. Now I'm going to lift my low belly, okay, and that's going to make it stretch more here. So lift the low belly, pull the ribs in. You feel how your low back opens up, that whole area, rather than collapsing. And then sweep the arm over, and some of you will be able to touch that foot. Now I'm getting a little congested, so I'm going to slide my hand all the way to my foot. I don't want that strap to limit me. Now lift the low belly and start to peek or turn your chest upward. Now my back leg sitting bone is up off of the floor a little. Don't try to force both sitting bones down on the floor. Your back hip sitting bone is totally allowed to lift and follow you in this lateral stretch. 2 more breaths into the ribs, lower back, hips, wherever you're feeling this. Okay, coming up. Boy, change sides. Hug this bent knee foot right into the perineum and the straight leg out. Take the strap, loop it around. Now I'm holding close to the foot. If you're more upright, you're going to hold closer in. And if you're holding, if you're more upright, you're going to brace your elbow more towards your inner thigh. Let's start with the bottom arm. So now bracing the elbow against wherever it lands on the inside of your straight leg, and then reaching up. So as I brace the elbow and the leg together, I feel a strength, an opportunity to create more strength there in my leg, quadricep, inner thigh. And then I'm going to allow this bottom, if it lifts, some of you it's like nailed to the floor because maybe your hips feel tight. So that's fine. Don't try to lift it if it doesn't want to lift. And I'm just giving it a little more freedom so I can follow the trajectory of the lateral pose all the way over. And I'm just not gripping my foot. I'm just placing my hand here. And this hand is another opportunity to provide a bracing or leverage. So if my fingertips are on the toe tips, I can push the toe tips into my fingertips, right? If my foot is like pushing like a gas pedal into my hand, if you're this far down, then I can do a little push and then I can turn. So much to go over in these seated poses. Now the breath. It's just being in this shape with your breath. The back of the neck is long, so my chin is actually going towards my chest. I'm not lifting my chin to turn my chest. I'm dropping my chin to turn my chest. Use your abdominal muscles to turn your top chest up more. Okay, and then come on up. The most wonderful thing about that pose is, well, there's so many wonderful things about it, but it really opens the back ribs, back waist, kidney, adrenals, and the quadratus lumborum. So it helps so much people who have tightness, tension back there, but it really liberates the back of the diaphragm. So helps your breathing immensely. Next pose. So I'm going to turn sideways. Actually, let's grab a blanket bench to sit on. I've already got one handy here. I'm going to sit up. Everybody sit on something, okay? You'll just have a lot more success with this. You'll get a lot more rotation in your spine if you sit on something. Now extend both legs out and roll the thighs in, move the buttock flesh apart. Then, once you move the buttock flesh apart, I want you to lift the pelvic floor. So some people forget that piece, but that's really important. Then you're going to take your legs together because you're going to take your right leg and cross it over the left. And that way that bottom leg is right there. Then you're going to take your strap on the ball of the straight leg foot. You're going to bring it over across to your right, and you're going to exhale, twist, bring the elbow to the outside of that front knee, okay? So it's very compact. Everything's getting very compact, so you can try to get the elbow across that front knee. Then I'm going to reach for the strap. Not so easy. So you can do this without the strap and it would look like this, right? But if you've got the strap and you've got the rotation, you're going to try to get that elbow here And then bring the hand behind you, the hand that's left, and push to lift the chest. This is a really important part. I was talking about lengthening the spine, the front body to turn. Now stamp down the foot that's on the floor, your bent knee foot, stamp it down, lift the chest, brace your arm and your outer knee together, brace them. And it's not so much about going deeper into the twist, it's more refining where you're at. So abdominal muscles are working, back muscles are working to lift the chest, and then I'm using my back hand to try to pin the shoulder back. The back shoulder, pin it back, and see that's the very deep part of the rotation. If you use your shoulder blade muscles, you can get deeper into the rotation. Now allow your head to turn, but not your chest to lift, your chin to lift. Don't have your chin lift, chin down, and turn it towards the back shoulder. And you see how the back of the neck stays very long. Now last little bit, push like a gas pedal through your straight leg foot that's got the strap, and you feel how that you can elongate a little bit more through that straight leg and reach through the crown of the head. Okay, unwind. Hopefully you got way deep into the small muscles that attach each vertebrae to the next. Those are hard to get to. It's easier to get to the long muscles that run along the spine, but it's harder to get into those little tiny muscles in between each vertebrae. It takes a lot of prep to get there, like we've done today, but it also takes a lot of knowledge, how to manipulate some things in the pose or use props to get you there. Okay, before we go to the second side, I want to point something out. Bring your foot that's across back a little bit, because the more compact you can get, the more this front knee can get closer to you, the easier it's going to be to get the arm across. When it's way out here and it's down, yeah, you can't get the arm across. So I'm going to try to get some compaction going, and then I'm going to lift the chest. Okay, now I'm going to lasso that foot and bring it to the outside of that knee. Now lengthen, exhale, twist. One side's probably going to be a little bit tighter, so we don't make any assumptions of what you're going to be able to do. You see how you can keep moving this knee across the body? That's why we did the figure 4 chair, because that outer hip needs to be really open in order for you to get some more mobility there. All right, lift, chest, turn. You take your back hand and you use it. Use it to prop your chest up and squeeze or attack your back shoulder back more. Lift the pelvic floor, lift the navel, lift the chest, lift the back of the skull. Chin will drop slightly and chin will turn towards the back shoulder. Now your task is to breathe peacefully here. Notice your spine, your abdominal organs. Last little bit, push through the ball of your straight leg foot if you've got your strap. Even if you don't, make that bottom leg very active. Lengthen the back of your neck. Turn. Okay, unwinding slowly. Now come into Dandasana. Now we easily could go another half hour or an hour and do seated pose after seated pose. There's so many different ones. And so I'll hope to maybe do a workshop on it. Okay, now I'm gonna take the knees and bend a little bit, because when I'm up on a platform, I can plop my knees to the floor because I hyperextend. So I like the bench, but I need to make sure I don't hyperextend. And then sitting bones are widening. Now I'm going to take my strap to the balls of the feet. I have a few inches between my feet because I can tilt the pelvis better. And when I have 2-3 inches between my feet are more lined up with my hip sockets. And that allows me a little more freedom to bend forward. Okay, so I'm going to take my feet very active, spread the toes out. It's almost like I'm trying to break the strap out to the side
And then I can roll the thighs in, lift chest, and then fold. And I'm just gonna take, because this pose I can get my feet pretty easily. So if that's you, then you would release the strap, hold the pinky toe side of the foot, lift the side body, shrug your shoulders, and then bend, but keep your chest lifting. And then some of you will be able to wrap your hands around the front of your foot, the sole of your foot. Wherever you're at, breathe into your back. Relax your jaw. Go inward. What do you notice in your physical body, in your emotions, in your mind? Bring it to karuna, a compassionate place. Three or four more breaths. Anytime you're ready, you're going to go ahead and come on out and slide off your blanket bench. Now, I don't recommend putting the legs up on the wall because we want to open the hip creases. So to rest, you're going to take your blanket roll under the backs of the knees. I'm going to let the feet go to the edges of my mat and then lie down so that the front of the hips can really soften and rest and open. And you take the flesh of the buttocks, slide it towards the heels, roll the palms up. And take the inward focus of that forward bend and those twists and go deeper. Close your mouth softly and breathe through your nose. Take a few more breaths. Take your time. You'd like to come up to seated,
to end in a brief meditation, or you can stay lying down. Wherever you're at, be comfortable and focus on the center of your heart. Find the place within you that has deep reverence, expansive compassion, and illuminating kindness for all beings. The deep wish for all beings to be free. Bringing your hands in front of your heart. And with the wish in our heart, we seal it with Anjali Mudra, and the sound of Om helps it to reverberate in our cells and in the space around us. Empty your breath. Inhale together. Om. To all beings, namaste. Thank you, everybody.